is a a plasticine model of an eye right there, and then there are the labels as well for you, right? So plastic model. I'm not quite sure whether this is a sheep eye or not. I don't think it is, all right? And then here is an actual sheep eye right there. So that is what the eye looks like right there. And there you can see all of the muscles around the eye. And we didn't name the muscles here in lab. We're going to label and name all of the muscles when we get to the lecture. There are 6 eye muscles. We will learn them when we get to chapter 16. All right, so there you can see. So lots of fat, adipose around the eyeball. And what is the function of adipose around the eyeball here?
Protection.
Yeah, padding. Primary function is padding right there. All right? Then, folks, we see this white right here that wraps around the eyeball. And there you can actually see it right there, how thick it is right there. That's all of the white right there. White in color, very, very strong. What protein fiber primarily? Collagen, right? And here the white wrapping around the eyeball, that is called the sclera right there. All right, and you can see to have cut through this, I had to work really hard to cut through that. All right, so there we cleaned the eyeball off, and on the posterior side there we saw the optic nerve right there. Okay, and you can see the optic nerve right there. Now on the inside of the optic nerve, so we tilt this around like this, folks, and we peel that off right there, is that creamish material right there. And that creamish material right there, that is the retina. So macroscopically, the innermost layer of the eye is called the retina. And the retina contains my rod and my cone cells. So 6 million cone cells in my eye, 120 million rod cells in my eye. And it all runs out there at that dot right there. That dot. And what is that dot called that runs out? The optic disc. So there you can see right there. So there is the retina right there, the creamish thread, and it attaches right there. So that is where the optic disc is located right there. So the optic disc inside the eye, and what is outside the eye is the optic nerve. All right? Okay, so we cut through the eye. So I'm not going to cut through that. So we cut through the eye right here, through the sclera. And again, very, very hard to cut through. Very, very thick, very, very strong structure. All right? And what's going to happen is the lens would be located right in there like that. So the fluid that's going to leak out that was in front of the lens was going to be watery like that. And that fluid is called the aqueous humor. All right? And then there you can see a piece of the fluid still attached to the eyeball, and that is behind the eyeball or the lens, and that is the vitreous humor. All right? So aqueous humor is the liquid part, very watery. Vitreous humor, the jello-like. Okay? Then, folks, there is the hole in the eye. We can see it at the back, and the hole in the eye is the pupil. So there you can actually see there, they've cut the cornea away so you can see the pupil. There's the cornea right there. And notice the cornea is opaque. Opaque. Our corneas are colorless. Now, if you look sideways on our eyes like that, you can kind of see a cornea. Our corneas don't project very far out. But if you look at your dog, your cat, you can actually see a nice semicircular cornea. Colorless, glass. This is dead. So soon after death, the proteins in the cornea starts to break apart. And what happens? The clear glass-like becomes opaque. Much like the lens, folks. There's the lens. Our lens, we are alive. So our lens is colorless. the proteins start to break apart after death, and it becomes that opaque texture. All right? Now, one of the things we're going to talk about in lecture is the iris, which is going to be the color part of the eye right here anteriorly. So I look at everybody's eyes, I see shades of brown, I see shades of green, blue. Well, what that is melanin that is reflecting through here. So if you've got brown eyes or green or hazel eyes or lots of melanin reflecting, and it's reflecting to me as shades of brown. If you've got blue, gray eyes, melanin is reflecting to me as shades of blue. What color is melanin?
Black.
Black. And in my many years of doing this, hopefully we're going to come across an albino eye one day, because a sheep or a person that is an albino does not produce melanin, which means what color?
It'll be white.
It'll be colorless. White, it'll be white in color. All right? So that is the back of the eye, the pigmented. Right? We saw the cornea, we saw the pupil. And then here we see this iridescent layer right there, which is on the sheep. It's called the tapetum lucidum. All right, you can see that eye, which again I'm assuming it's a human eye. There is no, we can't see the tapetum lucidum there. If it is, it's behind the retina. This iridescent, and what that iridescent tapetum lucidum does, it absorbs light. So it enables these animals to see better in darkness than what we as a human animal can. We don't have a tapetum lucidum. All right? All right, so there we have the structure of the eyeball. All right, so we tilt it around like that so you can see it right there. And then there we can see the muscles, etc. So again, photos of these, there's that. That is nice because it has labels, except there's no tapetum lucidum. Your tapetum lucidum in your lab manual, not as clear as this. Not as clear. So that's a hard diagram. I've actually gotten a different picture for your course and your lab exam. Lab exam will be these real things, course, so you can actually see it nicer. Okay? All right, this is here. Continue on, folks. You can look at this here at your own leisure as you go through the lab. Okay?